Ona Munson's husband found the Gone with the Wind actress dead in her bed. Next to her was a one-line note. When he read it, his blood ran cold. Ona Munson began her career as a promising young actress on Broadway, but she's most famous for her controversial role in the mega-hit Gone with the Wind. But despite her professional success and glamour, Munson's tragic personal life told a very different story. Ona was born on June 16, 1903, in Portland, Oregon. Drawn to the performance world, she took dance and singing lessons as a young girl and hoped to one day make it. However, pursuing her dreams would bring harsh lessons and shape her life in unexpected ways. And she began learning those lessons very young. Ona was the youngest of 4 children in her family, but tragedy hit them all early. In the end, she was the only one to survive into adulthood, with all the rest of her siblings passing in infancy. The death of her siblings placed a heavy strain on her parents' marriage, and they divorced in the 1920s. Yet, as their only child, Ona became the sole focus of their attention, allowing her to pursue her passion with unwavering support. This meant she entered the world of show business very, very young. Munson's career began in vaudeville, where she captured audiences with her versatile performances. But her age must have raised eyebrows. At just 4 years old, she made her vaudeville debut. She spent the next years becoming a hardened pro with one of Gus Edwards' kiddie acts. From there, she hit an even bigger stage. In 1919, a teenage Ona made her Broadway debut and quickly became a prominent stage presence. However, it was her role in No, No, Nanette in 1926 that propelled her into the national spotlight. This performance marked a turning point in her career, making her a household name nationwide and launching her tumultuous love life. As she rose in the theater world, Ona met fellow stage actor Edward Basil, a Broadway star who wrote, directed, and produced. His diverse skills allowed him to work behind the scenes and on stage. And these skills very much caught Ona's eye. Ona was young and in love, and she made a rash decision. On July 16, 1926, Ona married Edward Basil. It was a union that turned them into a power couple in the entertainment world. Except that Basil's own fame almost eclipsed Ona's. But she wasn't about to let that stand. In 1928, Ona secured the female lead in the original production of Hold Everything, where she introduced the song You're the Cream in My Coffee. It was the standout song from Hold Everything and became a beloved standard in American musical theater. Its success helped elevate her career even further and pushed her to take riskier steps. Ona came to fame at a time when entertainment was changing, and the advent of talkie films instead of silent ones in Hollywood ruined many careers for actors with heavy accents or unlikely voices. Ona, however, saw it as an opportunity, one that she grabbed with both hands. Soon after talkies debuted, Ona made her way to Hollywood, eager to transition from the stage to the silver screen. It was harder than she ever imagined. It took 3 years to hear her voice in a film, and her first speaking role came in 1930 in Going Wild. But then the floodgates opened. 1931 was a wild ride for Ona, as she added 3 films to her career: The Hot Heiress, Broad-Minded, and 5-Star Finale, most of these being lead or else prominent roles. She was working harder than she ever had and was getting more recognition, but all this hard work took a toll. 1931 was a banner year for Ona's professional life, but her personal life fell apart behind closed doors. The year also marked the end of her marriage to Edward Basil, with the pair clearly growing apart after Ona gained fame. Despite this romantic setback, Ona's newfound freedom led her to explore new and scandalous relationships. After her divorce, Ona didn't stay lonely for long, and her choice of lover was more high-profile than ever. She began an affair with filmmaker Ernst Lubitsch, a director known for his comedies of manner, his light, witty Lubitsch touch, and his 2, and eventually 3, Oscar nominations for Best Director. Meanwhile, Ona was still a workaday actress. Perhaps this was what doomed them. Ona had spent years in Hollywood grappling her way to the top. But in her mid-30s, she left film and returned to New York and Broadway, starring in productions such as Henrik Ibsen's Ghosts. Her affair with Lubitsch had ended by this point, and he soon married another woman. Still, it wasn't like Ona to mope for long, and a new love had already taken hold of her heart. Ghosts is a powerful drama that explores the consequences of a family's hidden secrets. The play centers on a widowed mother, Mrs. Alving, who confronts the dark truth about her late husband's life. Ona played Regina Engstrand, the late Captain Alving's illegitimate child. As they watched, audiences were unaware that Ona's love life contained just as many secrets, repressions, and potential illegitimacies. While starring in Ghosts, Munson had a passionate affair with the beautiful Russian-American actress, Alla Nazimova. In the entertainment world, such a relationship could have ruined Ona's image with audiences, not to mention destroy her career, but she was in good hands. Nazimova openly had relationships with women while still in a conventional marriage. She also created the Garden of Allah Hotel, a popular celebrity retreat that coined the phrase sewing circle, as code for Hollywood actresses who liked other women. In other words, she had a lot of experience in this, but Ona's association with Nazimova did have unintended effects. Although Ona and Nazimova's affair flared out, those tabloids in the know began seeing Munson as a scandal magnet. Well, I'd like to tell you that I think you're an all-right gal. You wouldn't want to hear that, would you? Nothing second-hand. When Ona returned to Hollywood in 1938, this scrutiny only increased. But she was determined to shape her career on her own terms. Upon returning to Hollywood, Ona began landing only smaller roles, starting with a minor part in His Exciting Night and an uncredited role in Dramatic School. That all changed with her next role. Amidst competition, she won the right to play Belle Watling in the Civil War epic Gone with the Wind. But it wasn't an easy road to get the part. Although Gone with the Wind was one of the biggest films before it was even in production, it had already been a successful book. Belle Watling was a part seemingly no one wanted to touch. Both Mae West and Tallulah Bankhead turned it down, claiming it was too small of a role for them. But they may have had much different reasons. Belle Watling was just a supporting role, it's true, but the part also had a scandalous side. The beautiful Belle was a fallen woman, and many actresses wondered if they would be harshly typecasted forever after playing her. Ona had a different take entirely. Her freckles and slight build were the antithesis of the voluptuous Belle, but they cast her anyways. For one, she had no apprehensions about accepting the part. She viewed the role as a challenge and said, "I was delighted. I had no idea the directors would give it to me." That delight showed on set, maybe a little too much. On the set of Gone with the Wind, Munson showed her brash sense of humor. She entertained herself and the cast by reading the Hussey's Handbook, a cheeky and light-hearted guide that mirrored her character's seductive and bold nature. Once filming was done, Ona just had to wait and hope that her work paid off, and it certainly did. Ona didn't have to wait long to reap the benefits of her adventurousness in playing Belle Watling. Gone with the Wind was a hit, and at the 12th Academy Awards, it set a record by winning 8 of the 13 competitive nominations it received. But even with the film's monumental success, Ona still had secrets. After Gone with the Wind, Munson began an affair with female playwright Mercedes da Acosta. Their passionate relationship was all-consuming. As Ona once wrote, "I long to hold you in my arms and pour my love into you." In some ways, though, her new love was a return to her past. Mercedes, known for her many relationships with celebrated Broadway and Hollywood actresses, also had been involved with Ona's former girlfriend, Alla Nazimova. Even so, this shared connection didn't seem to bother them. Something else entirely was beginning to concern Ona. Gone with the Wind should have been the biggest break Ona ever got. Instead, It might have been the nail in her coffin, as roles, especially good roles, seemed to dry up. It was just as everyone who turned down the part of Belle had feared. Ona was now firmly typecast in the risque woman category. Unfortunately, her next big role was no different. Ona's next significant part came in 1941's Shanghai Gesture. Critics praised her portrayal of Mother Jean Sling, and she got to work with director Joseph von Sternberg. But it was yet another Madame type character, reminiscent of Belle Watling. "You'll bring discredit to your race if you continue. Don't preach to me, and let my race take care of itself." But if her professional life was stalling, she kept her personal life very interesting. During the production of Shanghai Gesture, tabloids reported that Ona planned to marry Stuart MacDonald, a federal housing agent. The couple wed in 1941, starting a marriage that would endure for as long as she remained in Hollywood, but not everyone sent her well wishes. After the gossip about Ona's relationship with women made its way through Hollywood, many began to whisper that Ona had a lavender union, that is, a marriage arranged between a gay man and woman to disguise their actual desires. Regardless of the true nature of their relationship, this union would serve as yet another example of the dramatic highs and lows that defined Ona's life. Between her role in the Shanghai Gesture and her final film in 1947, Munson appeared in 5 films and also began to work to entertain troops during the outbreak of World War II. While there, her dedication solidified her as a beloved figure in entertainment and in her support of the war effort. It also earned her a new nickname. She was dubbed Hollywood's official hostess for her work in World War II. Ona became a godmother to hundreds of soldiers, offering them comfort and a touch of home. She never had children, but cherished the opportunities to support the troops. But Munson's life could never stay completely happy for long. Despite the whispers in the press about it, Ona's marriage to Stuart MacDonald lasted longer than anyone could have possibly predicted. But in 1947, after 6 years together, they finally called it quits. Except where before the single life had reinvigorated Ona's career, she now faced near downfall. Ona's film career slowed to a near halt after her split from MacDonald. It culminated in one last very surprising performance after a string of lesser roles. Her last movie was 1947's The Red House, a psychological thriller that marked a departure from her usual fare. Even so, the following years proved to be anything but dull. The 1950s brought a new roller coaster of events in Ona's life. Never alone long, around 1949, she married Eugene Berman, a Russian-born artist. Like so many of her lovers, Berman was no slouch. He was a renowned artist and set designer, and was highly respected in the art world for his distinctive surrealist style. More than that, he was well-connected, and these connections came in handy. Berman's impressive career allowed him to befriend many famous and influential people. Ona married him in the living room of Igor Stravinsky, widely considered to be one of the most pivotal composers of the 20th century. Yet, sadly, this marriage marked the beginning of the end for Munson in other ways. Berman brought a new sense of stability and sophistication to Ona's life, offering her a sharp contrast to the chaos that she had known in Hollywood. The couple traveled to Mexico together, then to Italy, where they visited galleries showcasing his paintings alongside works by renowned artists such as Salvador Dali. However, their marriage would ultimately be anything but predictable. Ona may have left Hollywood in 1947 thanks to her typecasting, but leaving her beloved Broadway behind took longer. She made her final stage appearance in the 1952 production of First Lady, where she played Sophie Prescott, a poised and efficient social secretary. The work appeared to get Ona thinking about a new acting medium. After the limited run of First Lady ended, Ona set her sights on a different kind of comeback. She still didn't seem to be able to face the big screen, or at least get parts that excited her, but in the 1950s she transitioned to television, appearing in various guest roles and TV series. Unfortunately, her burgeoning television career was cut far too short. Although Munson was finding steady work on TV throughout the 1950s, her roles even then were beginning to follow an upsettingly familiar pattern. She was still typecast in fallen women roles. Finally, after years of trying to escape, Ona began creeping down a dark path. During this time, Ona was approaching her 50s and must have felt she had very little to show for it besides a famous role that plagued her. As a result, she appeared to suffer from depression and hopelessness about her life. That was far from all. If Ona only had to struggle against her inner demons, perhaps things would have turned out differently. Instead, she also suffered from poor physical health and experienced undisclosed difficulties after an unnamed surgical procedure. It led her to devastating ends. Battling these ongoing and secretive health problems, in addition to her unfulfilling career, Ona held onto a harrowing belief. There was no point in living anymore. By 1955, she was 51, and she figured what could Hollywood want from her except for more Belle Watling. So sadly, she put a dark plan into action. One day, Ona's husband, Eugene Berman, left her sleeping in the apartment they shared, with a plan to take her shopping later in the day. Shortly after he left, Ona took an overdose of barbiturates to end it all. Horrifically, she was successful in her attempt, but the tragedy deepened. In the end, it was Berman who found his wife's body after returning to their home to take her on his loving shopping outing, and quickly called the authorities. It was a scene no husband should ever face, but Berman was about to make another heartbreaking discovery. Ona went out with a final gut-wrenching note. She had put the message beside her bed just before she took the pills, and it read, "They were harsh words from a woman chewed up by a harsh career." Ona's passing deeply affected Berman, who was preparing a book of sketches and reflections from their time in Italy together. After Imaginary Promenades in Italy was published, he left the United States and moved permanently to Rome, unable to be surrounded by his heavy memories of Ona. Even in death, Ona Munson deserved better. Her headstone dates are inaccurate, with her birth year listed as 1910 instead of 1903, but she did get some consolation even in death. After her passing, Ona Munson was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on the north side of the 6200 block of Hollywood Boulevard. It's just tragic it took her death to get her one. While Ona Munson's life seemed filled with Hollywood glitz and glamour, it often concealed the immense emotional toll her brand of fame exacted. Ona's story reminds us of the hidden struggles behind the screen. Even as she embodied professionalism, resilience, and an unwavering capacity for love. If you enjoyed this Tales That Tell video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Your support means everything to us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.